covering how to put in staff members, how to put in rooms, and how to put in equipment. Then we'll be talking about how to set up groups and services with prices and times and assigning rooms and equipment and staff members to those groups and services. And then we'll be talking about how to properly enter inventory and clients. So that's what we're going to cover today, and then we have other classes following this up as well. So starting this class, we're going to start with how to enter staff. And we do that from the main menu. We're going to select Setup. And by the way, I want you to know I'm recording this. When this is over, I'm going to convert this into an Excel spreadsheet. I'm going to convert this into a YouTube video, and then I can email this to one or all of you, and you can distribute it as you'd like, so that you have a copy of the same class that we just took, okay?
That'd be perfect.
Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and select Setup, and then from Setup, we're going to select Operator Files. Now, just a quick note. When the software is first installed, there are what are called designators. So some of those designators can change some of the things that you see here. So it may not say operator files. It may say therapist files or stylist files or employee files or something like that. But it's going to be something like operator files, and it's 3 from the top. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that, and that brings up this operator ID window. As you can see, I already have a lot of people, rooms, and equipment to put in. We're going to do one of each. First things first is to put a human into the system, whether there is nobody in or there's a whole bunch like I've got. We just type in the first name, nothing else. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to say Andre. So I've got Andre in there right now, just the first name in this field here at the top. Now, a mistake that a lot of people make is after they've typed in the first name, they go to hit done. Well, you're not done, so don't do that. After you've typed in the first name, you hit enter on your keyboard, and that will bring up the next window. This is your operator information window. This is where we can put in some basic information. So I'm going to choose the sex of the person. Now, you might say, why do we bother with male or female? Many spas have gender-specific services for their clients. For instance, like let's say you did a Brazilian wax, that the spa offers a Brazilian wax. Well, people say, you know, some people might say, look, if I'm going to get a Brazilian wax, I only want a woman providing that service. The only way the software can tell who is considered a woman and who is considered a male is by you choosing the sex of the operator. So it's an important feature if your customer is going to be having any type of gender preferences. Next, we're going to select the title. And so I'm going to say that Andre is a massage therapist. And then I've got my first and last name. Now, I skipped right over inactive and no appointments, but just so you know what those are. Inactive would be if we had let Andre go or if he had quit. Then you would mark him inactive rather than deleting him. Can you delete him? Yes. But by marking him inactive, you essentially delete him without removing him from the system. That way, a client's history can still show that they saw Andre on a particular date and time for a particular service. If you deleted him, it would still show that the client came in for on a particular date and time for a particular service, but the name for the operator, instead of saying Andre, it would say unknown if you deleted, which is why inactive is a much better option than deleting. Next is no appointments. If Andre was, let's say, a front desk person, maybe at the concierge desk or something like that, he booked appointments, or maybe front desk at the spa and sold product, etc., but did not provide services, then you would check the box that says no appointments. That way, Andre is not going to appear on the appointment book. So now we put in first and last name. Forgive me if I misspell anything, Andre. And this information here, below the first and last name, this is all optional. None of this has to be filled in order to add Andre to the system. This is, however, a very good place for your information purposes to have that type of information. Next, email is also optional. However, it is highly recommended if you have their email address to put it in. And the reason I say that is because there's a lot of really nice things that the software can do with that email. For instance, every night, Andre could get a list of his appointments for the following day automatically from the software. Also, Andre could be notified every time there's a change to his book. Whether you book for him, unbook for him, or reschedule an appointment, he can be instantly notified if you have the email address there and if you have that feature set up. And there's other things as well that can be done via email, like direct communication. You could do corporate-wide emails or spa-wide emails, really, where you say, I need to send a message out to all of my therapists or all of my staff saying essentially, hey, don't forget Friday's meeting at 12 o'clock or something like that. That can be done right through the software, but only if you have their email on file. So even though it is optional, I highly recommend it. These 3 buttons here we'll be talking about in another class when we discuss Darcy and what she can do. She can do a lot of amazing things. These are 3 of them, but she can do a lot more than that. So we're not going to be really talking about these today, but very, very briefly, this would allow Andre to be notified every time he is booked, unbooked, or rescheduled. This would send him out his schedule every night for the following day, and this would send him a report every night showing him what sales he was credited for that day. Now, the next thing that we want to focus on are the days of the week here, starting Sunday through Saturday. Every day of the week that is checked is a day that Andre can work. If it is unchecked, he cannot work that day, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and leave it here, but you could certainly uncheck some of these if he doesn't work those days. And so I'm going to say that Andre works Monday through Saturday, and now I can go to his schedule. Now, when I'm looking at the schedule, right now these all say off. They could have times. It doesn't matter whether they say off or times. You're going to change the times the same way. And you do that by, for instance, under Monday, I'm going to go to the first off. This is the time that Andre comes in on Mondays. So I'm going to click on that and say 9 a.m. and accept. Then I'm going to choose the second one. This is the time that he leaves, not the time of his last appointment, but the time that he walks out the door, gone for the day. And I'm going to say that's 5 p.m. So Monday I set 9 to 5. Tuesday I'll do the same, 9 to 5. And on Wednesdays we'll change it up a little bit. We'll say 10:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. We'll say Thursdays are a short day for him. He comes in at noon, so 12 o'clock p.m. and leaves at 3 o'clock p.m. And on Fridays, he comes in at 9 and leaves at 5. And on Saturdays, we'll say he comes in at 11 and leaves at 7. So now I've set the times that he is scheduled to work for those particular days. Now, these are standard times. That doesn't mean that they can't be changed, and they can be changed on a day-to-day basis. What I mean by that is, if on Fridays he normally works 9 to 5, but on Friday the 30th, he's going to be coming in late because of a doctor's appointment or something like that, then on the 30th, I can change it from something to like 11 to 5 or 11 to 6, or just on that particular day. So his Fridays remain 9 to 5, but on that day it will be changed. You don't do that at this time, however. Right now, we have set his standard times, and then we can say exit. Do you want to save the changes? Yes. Now, we do not need to go back into the schedule, but if we did, you'll now notice that the calendar has been populated with those times. This would be the time, maybe a week from now, 2 months from now, whatever it is, to go back into this and change the hours on a particular day. And exit and accept, and Andre has been added to our system. Now, once we have added all of our staff, then we can press done. So let's go back in there. Go ahead.
Matt?
Question? Yes.
Yeah, quick. Wait, what do I do if I have 2 Andres?
Okay, it's not a problem, actually. You can either do something like Andre M as the first name, Andre capital M, no spaces, and then the other one would be maybe Andre capital S or something like that. That would be one way to do it. Another way to do it would be to put in the other person by their last name first rather than first. But if you really can't just put in 2 people under the same first name, and so just keep that in mind. So that's the way I would do it. And if they were both, you've got Andre Mantha and you've got Andre Michaels, so they're both Andre M. Then again, maybe you have Michaels Andre and you have Andre Mantha. You could do that, or you could do Andre M and Andre MI or something like that. Make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So now I'm going to go back to setup, and I'm going to go back to that same file, operator files. You'll notice that Andre is now added to the list. There he is, right after Abigail. They're in alphabetical order. And now we're going to be talking about adding a room. Does anybody have any questions on adding a human before we go to adding a room? Okay, easy enough. All right, pretty simple. Now, this is going to be even simpler because adding a room is almost identical to adding a human. The only difference is the asterisk. So if you'll notice, if I scroll down, I've got an elixir room, an herbal room, a jasmine room, and a ruby room. And the asterisks denote the rooms. That's how the system knows that it's a room. So I'm going to create a brand new room. I'm going to say asterisk diamond. So that's the name of my new room that I'm putting in. And of course, you could do things like room 1, room 2, room 3, room 4, or you could have descriptive names like massage room, wet room, massage room 2, things like that. So I'm going to go with my diamond room and give it a title. And I'm going to say that my diamond room is, in fact, a massage room. So that's its title. And the first name is going to be diamond, last name room, something really basic and simple. Obviously, we don't have to worry about inactive and no appointments. We obviously do not have to worry about any of this information, and you'll notice it doesn't ask for the sex. Every day that the spa is available for business should be checked every day. So it doesn't matter now about times off or days off or anything like that. If the spa is open, then the room is available. It's not a human. It doesn't take breaks, etc. So then, after I've checked off each day, and obviously I don't need an email, I can go to my schedule, and it can, as a shortcut, if you were doing this one after another, keep the hours in from the last person that you put in. It's just a way to save you time if they have many of the same hours. But as a room, probably not. A room, you want to make sure has the exact same hours that you are open. So if the spa is open, let's say from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., then that would be the way it is all the way through, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., etc. And you would do that across the board. Now, you've already seen how that's done, so I'm not going to bother changing all of these to 8 to 8. Maybe I'll change Thursday, though, just because it's such a short day and I want that room available. 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. There we go. All right, and then exit again, asks if you'd like to save the changes to the standard schedule, and yes. Again, if I were to go back in, let's go find our room here. There's our diamond room. If I were to go back into the schedule, you'll notice that the calendar now reflects the hours that I have put in. Go ahead and accept that. After all of the rooms are put in, again, you can hit done. You put all your people in. You've now put all of your rooms in. We can go back to setup, go back to operator files, and if I look at my rooms, you'll now notice that the diamond room is there alphabetically with the rooms. Now, I don't want you to worry about, you've put in everybody, let's say, and then you hit done, and now you've got to put in a new person. Well, obviously, you can do that. That's what I just did. You already saw that I had a number of people in there. So, you can put in half a dozen people and then put in a few rooms and then find out if there was 1 or 2 more people that you need to put in. Go ahead. It's not a problem. It's not going to stop you. The next thing we're going to do is add a piece of equipment. This is going to be really short because a piece of equipment is done identically to a room except for the plus sign. Instead of the asterisk, we're going to have a plus sign. So I'm going to create a new laser machine. So this is going to be my laser 4 because I've already got laser 1, laser 2, and laser 3. So I'm going to put in the plus sign and say laser 4 and enter. Everything else would be done precisely the same way that you did a room. Exactly the same way. Every day of the week that the spa is open, every hour that the spa is open, etc. So I'm just going to say this is laser machine and this is laser 4. And I'll just leave it the way it is, and accept, and done. So we've added all of our staff, we've added all of our rooms, we've added all of our equipment. Any questions on that before we continue?
No. Nope.
All right, easy enough. Okay, so now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create what are called groups and services, and we're going to assign people to those groups and services, and we're going to assign rooms and equipment to those groups and services as well. First things first, what is a group and how is it different than a service? So in a day spa environment, and I'm going to be focusing, I know that a lot of hotels have salons in them now, and maybe even med spas, but we're going to focus on day spas for this training. In a day spa environment, you may have a group like massage. You may have a group like waxing. you may have a group like facials. Now, those are not services. Those are generic names. So a massage group might have services in it like Swedish 30, Swedish 60, Swedish 90, Shiatsu 30, Shiatsu, et cetera, et cetera. Those are services. Waxing is a group, not a service. But then you may have brow wax, underarm wax, leg wax, bikini wax, Brazilian wax, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Those are the actual services and how, so a group holds a group of services. And we do that by going to Setup again, and then from Setup, we select our salon and spa services. Once again, based on our designators, it may say something a little bit different. It could say spa sessions, it could say spa services, salon services, whatever it may be. During the time of initial setup, you're asked to put in your designators, and so I'll click that. And now we're in our services window. This is where now we can create groups and services. I have already created a fairly large group of groups. I've got Botox and hair and laser and light facial massage, micro nails, skincare, skinner, et cetera, et cetera. I'm going to create a brand new group, and I'm going to call this group IQwear. And all you need to do to create a group is type the name of the group in the group name field and then hit enter on the keyboard. When you do that, a number will appear to the left of the name once you've hit enter. All that means is that, in this case, this group is filling the 11th group slot. And that's all that means. Now, I also can choose a group color. I do not have to. If I do not choose a group color, it will default to yellow. I've already created an 11th group before in the past for IQwear, which is why this is already blue, but I could change it right back to yellow if I wanted to. But in order to change a group color, you simply click on that box, and then you choose a particular color and hit OK. If you want a different color than what you see here, you can hit Define Custom Colors. And you can put in an RGB code, or you can just move the cursor somewhere here and then move this to make it lighter or darker. So there's different ways to create a custom color. So if you really wanted to match the spa's environment, and so you wanted to use their walls color on certain things, you could do that. We'll go ahead and just OK that. So we've got our group color. And now that we've created a group, we want to assign staff to that group, people who work in that group. So I'm going to go to my group membership, and I'm going to find my humans. So here they are. I'm going to say Andre works in the group, and so does Kathy, and Debbie, and Leslie, and save. Now I've assigned people to the group. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create services within that group that I can book appointments for and sell through the point of sale. So I'll go to my first service name. Now, you don't have to do what I'm about to show you, but it is highly recommended. I am going to put IQ dash and then the name of the service. And the reason I'm doing that is because in some reports and in some drop-downs, they're all alphabetized. So a good example would be in hair care. Let's say that you did child's haircut, men's haircuts, and women's haircuts. Well, child starts with a C, so it's near the beginning of the alphabet. Men is in the middle of the alphabet. Women is at near the end of the alphabet. So because of that, they would be far separated from each other if it was just done alphabetically and you just put them in by those names. So by doing something like M-Swedish 30, M-Shiatsu 30, M-Deep Tissue 30, then all of those massages will be grouped together when you look at them alphabetically. That's why I recommend doing it. So I'm going to say IQ dash and then the name of the service. And so I'm going to call this the, I don't know, we'll call it the Wear 30, whatever the heck that is, and enter. So after I type in the name of a service and I hit enter, a number will appear. So this is the 432nd service that I have created. It will also populate in the drop-down, and it will appear on the right. Now that I've done that, I can define this service using these tabs. Now, you can really get away with just using the first two tabs, the price and the time, and save. And that's exactly what we're going to do on this one for now. So I'm going to say that the IQwear 30 is $50. So I put in 50.00, and then I go to my times, and I say that the IQwear 30 takes 30 minutes. I'm using these buttons to increase or decrease the time by 15 minutes at a time. Now, 15 is the default. You can change it to 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15, 20, 30, and 60. Those are your options. But 15 is what it comes with default without you making a change to it. So, and that's pretty standard in the spa industry. Things are done in 15-minute increments. So that's precisely what I'm going to do here. So I've got my IQWare 30. I said it's 30 minutes. I'm done. I press save. Done. That service now exists. It can be booked for the staff members that I've selected, and it can be paid for through the point of sale. Now I'm going to go here, and I'm going to do another one. IQ-Ware 60. Enter. And I put in the price. And I'm going to say this is $100. And I'm going to give it a time. I'm going to say it's 1 hour long. So 4 increments of 15 minutes, 1 hour. Then I go to my rooms. And I'm going to say this room can be performed in, and I can choose any of the rooms that I have created, including my brand new room, Diamond. But I'm going to say this can be done in the Elixir, the Herbal, or the Ruby room. And if any equipment is required, I click on Equipment. And I can choose, I've got my black stones and my red stones, I've got my micro 1 and 2, but I've also got my lasers, laser 1, 3, 2, and 4. I'm going to say that this is going to be available with my micro 1 and my micro 2. I'm also going to go to Cleanup, and I'm going to say that when a staff member is finished with this service, they have to clean their area up. So I'm going to give it an additional 15 minutes, and I'm going to block the operator. Whoever performed the service is going to be blocked for an additional 15 minutes. I can also block the room and the equipment if I chose to, which in this case I'm not going to do because we're going to do it on the third one. And save. That service now exists in the system, can be booked, and can be paid for. We'll do one more here. I'm going to go with IQ-Ware 90. Enter, and I'm going to give it a price. I'm going to say this is $150. And this one I'm going to make a little bit different. After I save it, you're going to see something a little bit different. I'm going to go to my times and say that this is an hour and a half, and it can be done in the same rooms, the Elixir, Herbal, and the Ruby room, and the same equipment, the micro 1 and the micro 2. And I'm going to give it cleanup as well, but this time I'm going to say cleanup is not just blocking the therapist, but also blocking the room and the equipment, and save. Now that I've saved it, I can go back to my prices, and I can say that when Andre does the IQWare 90, that his price is $175, a little bit different than everybody else's, and we'll save that. I will also say that with the IQWare 60, I'm going to say that when Debbie does not perform the IQWare 60, so I'm going to check this box that says operator does not do this service, and then save that as well. So I've made a few little changes. Go ahead, please.
Question for you. On the service name, how many characters can I have in that field?
16.
16, okay. That's what I thought. Okay.
Okay. All right, so now we've created a group. We've created services. Now, in this class, I don't teach you how to book appointments. That's in another class. This is the data entry class, but I just want you to see something here. I'm going to go to my appointment book, and I'm going to choose a new group. And now I've got my IQWare group. And if I choose that, I've got the staff members that work in that group. And if I wanted to, I could see any rooms or equipment that are used as well. By adding them, I can go to my settings and go to set my display order. So I can choose a group like my IQWare group and load all of the operators, and that includes my rooms and equipment. Now I'm going to put them in the order I want them to be in. I actually want Kathy first, followed by Andre, followed by Debbie and then Leslie, then my rooms, Elixir, Herbal, and Ruby, then my equipment, Micro and Micro 2, and save. Now when I get out of it, I've got my staff members in the order I wanted them, my rooms, and my equipment all on the same screen. That way, when and if I book an appointment, go with Eric Wiggins here, and I choose an IQWare 30, I can book that with Andre at 10 o'clock. The appointment's booked for Eric Wiggins. We'll choose another one here. This time we'll go with Nicole Dallenberg, and we'll do an IQWare 60. I want you to notice, when I chose the IQWare 60, Debbie grayed out. because we said she doesn't perform this service. She works in the iCareer group, but she does not perform this particular service. Maybe you didn't notice that, and she has a free time that the client wanted. So I'm going to go ahead and try to book it. This operator does not perform this service. The appointment cannot be booked. Oops. Let's book it with Kathy instead. And it asks me, what equipment am I going to be using? And I have booked Nicole in the herbal room with the Micro One machine. And then finally, I'll go choose somebody else. We'll go with Adriana here, choose my IQware 90, and I'll book that with Debbie at 12 o'clock. What room? We'll say the Elixir room. What equipment? We'll say the Micro One, and accept. Now, a couple of things I want you to notice that you should have noticed when we did the setup. The IQware 60 has 15 minutes of cleanup for the therapist, but not for the room or the equipment. However, the IQware 90 does have 15 minutes of cleanup on the therapist, the room, and the equipment. Another thing you may have noticed, when I booked Adriana, it asked me for the room and the equipment, but when I booked Nicole, it only asked me for the equipment, and it automatically assigned the room. Why? Why didn't it ask me for the room on this one? Because when you create your people, and you've already set up your rooms and services, etc., one of the things that you can do is set up what are called room preferences. So Nicole has a room, not Nicole, excuse me, Kathy has a room preference. Her first choice is the herbal room, meaning if it's available, just book it. If it's not available, then you would have been asked, what room do you want to be in? There's another preference that you could choose, whereas if a room is the only room available, then it can automatically book it, so that you don't have to be asked to choose a room if there's only one room available. That's a preference setting that you can get to under appointments. And all of those preferences can be found under setup. You can go to preferences, and there's lots of different areas to choose preferences. And if I were to choose appointments, then one of my options is to auto book the room if only one room is available. I've got that checked. I had 3 rooms available. You'll notice in Nicole's file, let's go, I'm not Nicole's, Kathy's file, we have our room preferences. And this is where we can choose what her preferences are going to be. And I've already set her preferences so that if the herbal room is available, it books it automatically for her, okay? So I just wanted you to see how what we did in the setup applies itself to the appointment book. We'll be learning more about the appointment book in another class. Okay, any questions on setting up groups and or services and assigning staff members to groups and services before we continue?
No.
All right,
Nothing.
okay, so moving on. The next thing we're going to learn is how to properly enter inventory. Now, a lot of places will already have software, or they may have inventory in an Excel spreadsheet or something like that. If that's the case, it can be uploaded to save a tremendous amount of data entry time. It can be uploaded directly from an Excel spreadsheet. And if they have another software, it can be normally exported into a text file or a CSV file or an Excel file. And then it can be uploaded into the software. But if you are entering product by hand, this is the way it's done. First things first, I'm going to go to this button here, this big one that says inventory. And it's got these little shopping bags on it. I'm going to click on that, and that brings me up to this inventory window. That's a little bit confusing. Don't worry about it. I'm going to explain it all to you, and it's actually very simple. However, I've got a bunch of manufacturers in and a bunch of categories and a bunch of vendors to choose from. When you first are setting up the software, there are no manufacturers, categories, or vendors. So you can't add product yet because product requires a vendor, manufacturer, and category. It does not require a group, but it does require a vendor, manufacturer, and category in order to add product. So before we can add product, we need to get those in. And we do that with this inventory button, not the big one, but this one here. So I'm going to click on inventory, and then I'm going to go to my indexes. And then from indexes, I go to vendor. This is where I can create my vendors. So I go to vendor, I select add, modify, and now I can create a vendor. A vendor is created with 2 simple fields, a code field and a name field. The code is something that should reflect the name of the vendor. And what I mean by that is the code can be any 2 characters. You could actually have a vendor code of %! But why would you do that? Because if you were looking at a report that was using the code for the name of the vendor, you wouldn't have any idea who that vendor is. So let's pretend, in this case, that who we buy this product from, or a group of products from, is a company called, I don't know, let's say Colorado Supplies. So I'm going to go with CO, and then, I've already got one in there under CO, Columbia. All right, so let's go to a different one here. And let's say Montana Supplies. We'll try, oh my goodness, I'm going to drive myself crazy. All right, let's go with one that I probably haven't used. We'll say Wyoming Supplies. There we go. So Wyoming Supplies. So notice the code should reflect the name in some way. So if you actually had Columbia Supplies and you had Colorado Supplies, then maybe you would do CO and CS. At least it would give you an idea, something like that. Okay, so I've got my Wyoming Supplies and save. That's it. I just created a vendor. It's that simple. You put in a code, you put in a name, and you press save. So you do that for each and every one of the vendors that the spa buys product from. Once you're done with that, then you can hit cancel. So code, name, save, code, name, save, code, name, save, cancel. You've entered your vendors. Now that we have entered our vendors, after all of our vendors are entered, you do not have to do this, but it's recommended, we would go to inventory, indexes, go back to vendors, and this time go to the address file. Again, you don't have to do this, but it's a good idea. So now all of my vendors that I've ever entered will be listed here. So I choose the vendor that I'm interested in, like Wyoming Supplies, and I can now put in this information. This is very helpful if you are using purchase orders directly through the software. So I'm going to say 4321 Main Street, and that's in, we'll say, Colorado Springs. State is Colorado. I'll fake the zip code. I have no idea what it is, so I'll say 98765. And the telephone number, 656-989-9898. My representative's name there is going to be Erin, and her email address is going to be erin@fakeemail.com. I can put in my terms like net 30, cash on delivery. I can put in a fax number. I can even put in some remarks like, when ordering from Wyoming Supplies, allow an additional week for delivery, or whatever it may be, and accept. I do that for all of my vendors, and then cancel. Again, I don't have to. In order to enter product, you do not have to have the address file filled in for the vendor. You just have to have the code and the name. Now that I've entered all of my vendors, I get to enter all of my manufacturers. Inventory, indexes, manufacturer, add, modify. Just like adding a vendor, it can't be simpler. So we're going to create a new one here. We'll call this IQ. This is the manufacturer, and IQ Wear Skincare is the name of my manufacturer, and save. Ooh, that's ugly. Let's make that a capital Q. There we go. And save. Done. I've just added a manufacturer, and I've already got a bunch of manufacturers in there, so we'll just leave it as it is. There is no address file for the manufacturer. You are not ordering directly from the manufacturer. You're ordering from the vendor. Now, you might say, well, wait a minute. Sometimes the vendor and the manufacturer are the same company. That's fine. So create a vendor named IQWear Skincare. Create a manufacturer named IQWear Skincare. They're two separate things, even though they have the same name and they're the same company. But one is a vendor, one is a manufacturer, so they must be in both areas. So now that we've added all of our vendors and we've added all of our manufacturers, we go back to inventory, indexes, categories, and add, modify. Now we're going to create categories, things like skincare, maybe UV protection, maybe, I don't know, whatever you can imagine, brushes. Categories next, so let's add a category. It's the same as adding a vendor or manufacturer. Code, name, save, code, name, save, code, name, save. And so this one I'm going to call this, my category for this one is going to be dry skin. Let's say, okay, well, I've already got it in there, but you saw how it was done. You give it a code, you give it a name, and save. Now that all of our vendors are in, all of our manufacturers are in and all of our categories are in, now we can add product. Now we can go to the big button. And now we're going to learn how to add a piece of product. Don't worry about how confusing this might look. It's really very simple. The first thing we do when adding a product is pressing a button here that says New SKU. This will give us the next SKU number in sequence. So I click on New SKU, and my SKU number that comes up is 30,200, or at least that's what you think it is, because it's actually 3,020. Why? Because every SKU number in the system ends with a 0. So when you do the very first product, it will be 10 or a 10. But it's not really a 10. If it was really a 10, that would beg the question, what happened to my first 9 products? That's not what's going on here. It's actually 10. It's your first product followed by a 0. So why does every SKU number end with a 0? Well, they all end with a 0 because of this, where it says vendors down here, and I've got this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You can have, the spa can have up to 9 different vendors on a single product. So most places only have 1, but some have 2 vendors for a single product. I've never seen anybody that has 9. The most I've ever seen is 3. But essentially it works like this. You buy Acne eye gel from Sally's Beauty 10 months out of the year. But in July and August, another vendor sells it for a lower price. But the rest of the year, their price is higher than Sally's Beauty. So Sally's Beauty would be my first vendor, and my second vendor then on the same product would be that other company. So that during those months, I might choose to buy from them instead. That would be having more than one vendor on a particular product. That's why every SKU number ends with a 0, because the 0 is a placeholder for the vendor number. So now I'm going to, now that I've chosen new SKU, it's giving me my next SKU number in sequence. I'm going to say whether this product is retail or professional. Now we also have kit here, but kit would mean that this product has already been entered, and you're going to create a gift basket or a package of products. So it's a different thing. We're going to focus on retail and professional. Specifically, we're going to focus on retail, meaning this is a product that we sell to our customers. So I click on retail, and now I can give it a product description. And I'm going to say that this is, in fact, the Acne Eye Gel. That's the name of my product. And if I sell it in different sizes, then I want to maybe include that 15 milliliters. And the reason I do that is because if I sell it in different sizes, the Acne Eye Gel 15 milliliters is going to have a different price, a different SKU number, a different barcode, etc., than the Acne Eye Gel 30 milliliter, which is a different product. Same thing filling the bottle, but it's actually a different product, different SKU number, different barcode, etc., different price point. So I've got my Acne Eye Gel 15 milliliter, and now I can choose the manufacturer. Who do I actually buy this from? And I'm going to say I buy it from IQWare. So I'll find my, there we go, IQWare Skincare. If I'm using a barcode scanner, I would scan the barcode of that product in right now. If I'm not using barcode scanner, I can skip it altogether. If I am not using a barcode scanner, but I want to, then type in the barcode number here. If the product does not have a barcode, but I do use a barcode scanner, then copy the SKU number into the UPC field, because the software can actually generate barcodes, and you can copy them to labels and put them right on the product, which is exactly what I'm going to do here. Now, my minimums and my maximums. The minimum is the fewest number of this product you ever want to have on hand before you know you've got to order more. So maybe that number is 5. Every spa is going to have different numbers, of course. And the maximum is the most that you would ever want to have on hand. In other words, all the stuff on your shelf as well as the boxes in the back. And say, I really never need more than 30 of these in stock. So my minimum is 5, my maximum is 30, and then my category. what does this fall under? And I'm going to say this falls under eye care. And my list price. You do not have to put in a list price. List price is essentially the MSRP, the manufacturer suggested retail price. That's essentially a for your information only purpose. But my sell price, you must put in. And I'm going to say I sell this for $35. So I've got my product description, my manufacturing category, my code, if any, my minimum and my maximum, and my sell price. That's the only thing I need. I'm done with the top. I'm done. Don't need to do anything else. I can now move on to the bottom. So I get to choose my vendor. So I'm going to choose Wyoming Supplies. If you filled in the address file, then this will fill in. If you didn't fill in the address file, this will all be blank. Not a big deal. My cost price. When I buy the Acme Eye Gel 15 milliliter from Wyoming Supplies, what does it cost the spa? Well, most places have a 100% markup, so I'm going to say that this costs $17.50. That's my cost price. My best price and my best quantity can be left at zeros, or they can be ignored. But what they are is, if your representative at Wyoming Supplies said, you know, I notice you never order more than 30 Acme Eye Gels. Well, I just wanted you to know that if you ever ordered 75 or more of them, that we will actually sell them to you for $15 instead of $17.50. Maybe the spa is going to do a promotion or something like that. But the fact of the matter is if that were the case, then the best price would be $15 and the best quantity would be 75. That way, when creating a purchase order, if you ordered 74 or fewer, it would be $17.50. But if you ever ordered 75 or more on a single PO, it would automatically change the price to $15. So I just want you to be aware of what that is. Order in quantities of. We recommend that you leave it at 0. By leaving it at 0, you can order this product in any quantity you'd like. You could order 1, you could order 15, you could order 17, 73, 38, it doesn't matter. You can order it in any quantity you like. However, if you put a number in here, then it will order in multiples of that number. So if you put a 3 in there, you could only order 3 or 6 or 9 or 12. If you put a 5 in there, you could only order 5 or 10 or 15 or 20. So why would you ever do that? Well, because your vendor might not sell this product individually. Maybe the only way to buy this product is in packs of 5. Well, if that's the case, then order in quantities of 5 would be what you'd want. You would never order 7 from them because they could only sell you 5 or 10. Okay, so, but if that's not the case, you leave it at 0, and only the vendor can tell them. Next is the vendor order number. You may not need it. You can leave it blank. But the vendor order number, if it's blank, when you create a purchase order for this product, you're going to be ordering the Acme Eye Gel 15 milliliter, and maybe that's enough for your vendor to know exactly what it is you're ordering. Fine. But if it's not enough, if they say, no, 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 when ordering from us, you must use our SKU number, then that's what goes here, which of course will always be different than your SKU number. So don't worry about that. You'll put in the vendor SKU number here if the vendor requires it. If not, you can just do it by name. Last ordered and on PO, forget about them. You don't have to concern yourself, because when you create a purchase order for this product, it will put the last order date in here automatically. It will also put the last purchase order number that this product was ordered on here automatically. So we can skip that and move down here. On the far left here under beginning inventory date, we have our beginning quantity. You do a physical count now, and you say, how many of these products do we actually have on hand? And I'm going to say we've got 22 of them. 20, whoops, that's my vendor order number. I'm going to go down here to my beginning quantity and say we have 22. And I hit enter on my keyboard. So now I've got my beginning quantity of 22, and I've got my ending quantity on hand. That's what the QOH is. My ending quantity on hand of 22. Don't worry about the 4 in the middle, received, sold, returned, and adjusted. They take care of themselves. When you sell a product, 22 beginning quantity, sold 1, ending quantity 21. Beginning quantity 22, sold 3, ending quantity 19. When you sell a product, this number changes. this number changes. You did a purchase order and you ordered 5 of these products, and that purchase order was received. The boxes came in and you accepted the order. Then my beginning quantity is 22, my received is 5. If nothing else has changed, my ending quantity is 27. If I had sold 3, then my beginning quantity would be 22, my received would be 5, my sold would be 3, my ending quantity on hand would be 24. Does that make sense to everybody? You follow along with that?
Yes.
Yes.
When you do a merchandise return at the point of sale, it will ask you if you want to return this product to inventory, and the answer is yes or no. Maybe the customer opened it, used it, it gave them a rash. They came in and said, I can't use this, and the spa gave them back their money. The system says, do you want to return this product to inventory? Well, they opened it and used it, so the answer is no. They throw it in the trash. No, that's that. Nothing else changes. But they read the ingredients, saw that there was something they were allergic to, brought it back to the spa unopened, and the spa gives them back their money, and they say, yes, we are going to return this to inventory. So then my returned would be 1, my 24 would change to a 25. And adjusted. 6 months later, you guys do a physical count like spring cleaning, and the software believes that you have, let's say, 22. So it tells you you've got 22. You did a physical count, you've got 22. Great. You did a physical count, you find out you've actually got 21. So then you change this to 21, and adjusted will now show +1, or -1, excuse me, -1. If you changed this to, you counted and it was actually 25, so you change your ending quantity to 25, then my adjusted will show +3. So these numbers take care of themselves. You just have to put in the beginning quantity and hit enter, and you're actually done. Once you have put in your beginning quantity and hit enter, you can press save. That product is now available to be sold through the software. So let's take a look.
Matt,
Go ahead.
question for you, sir. Again, for the inventory, how many characters do I have on the product description?
That's a good question.
Because I know it's definitely limited. Like, let's say if, with the with that gel.
Yeah, I think it's 16.
Do you think it's 16 also?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah,
printing on a standard 40-column receipt, then, right?
Exactly. Now I can show you this. If let me just bring something up here really quick. I'm gonna change this, even though this isn't for you guys. This email address, ej@prosolutionssoftware.com, or support@prosolutionssoftware.com, either of those, that would be where you would want to send those questions to. Of course, you could always go to, if you don't want to wait, if you need an immediate answer, you can go to our website and go to support and go to technical support, and I'm going to go to live chat. Live chat usually has a response within 15 seconds. So let's just do a quick countdown here.
Oh,
14,
Matt,
13.
Matt, I've been there many a time.
All right, great. Okay, so that, just if you go there and ask that question, they'll be able to give you a definitive answer.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so yeah, that's those types of questions. Yeah, I would say just talk to the live chat. They're going to be able to help you with that a lot faster. I believe it's 16, but I'm not sure. Let's take a look though at this. Let's go ahead and sell that product to somebody. So I'm going to pull up a customer here. They'd like to buy that product. I scan it, or I type in the SKU number, or I look it up by name. Madison sold it. Matthew sold it. James Fabiani was sold. Okay, well, the good news is that it's at least 17, because I just counted the characters and it was 17 characters, and they're all showing here. If they all show here, they will show on the receipt as well. So it may be a little bit more than 16.
Yeah, no, the only problem I ran into is I was having to abbreviate certain names.
Oh, sure, of course. Yeah, I mean, it does have a limitation, and it's fairly small, but it's obviously a little bit more than 16. Maybe it's 17, maybe it's 18, 19, 20, but it's not going to be 30 or 50 or anything like that.
Right, and There's not an alternate name field. The only things I saw was for if you were selling a product online.
That's right. With the product online, you have much more space for description. And that's so that your customers, when they're buying it online, they can get that full description so they fully understand what it is they're buying. Of course, in-house, they've got the product in their hands, so they fully understand what it is they're buying. And of course, for the receipt purposes, having even an abbreviated name usually gives people a pretty good understanding. So as you can see, we just added this product and it's already available for sale. Now there is one thing during our setup process that we did not discuss, and that was the tax. You'll notice that when we went to sell that product, it entered tax. So if you didn't notice that, let's just do it really, really quick again. And we'll say that Madison sold it. And there's my tax. My local tax is put in, so $35 is what it costs, $38.24 is what they owe me. So just very briefly how we do that, we go to Setup, Configuration, Sales Register, Sales Tax Rates. And we put in our retail tax rate for the local area that that spa is located in. If they have taxes on services as well, you need to do that as well. Most states do not have taxes on spa and salon services. Okay. All right. So the last thing that we're going to be talking about today is entering a client, data entry for a client. Once again, just like I said with inventory, if the customer already has, your customer, I mean, if the spa, resort, hotel already has a customer base in an Excel spreadsheet, a CSV, or a TXT, it can be uploaded directly into the software. Also, as you probably know, with the IQware interface in its full form, you can also, when somebody is in the folio, in the property management system, excuse me, they can be added easily into IQSpa as well. You can even, check the room to see who's occupying the room and pull their information into the spa database as well. But to add somebody individually, there's lots of different places to do it. You can do it from the main menu by going to the Clients button. If I left-click on the Client button, it will allow me to pull up a customer that's already in my database, like Michelle Babcock. If, however, I am trying to add a client for the first time from my main screen, instead of left-clicking on this button, I would right-click, and I would add them new for the first time. So I'm going to create somebody in here called Aaron Andre. And then I can either take some basic information on them, or I could just add them now, because all you absolutely have to have is the sex and the first and last name, nothing else. However, if you've got an opportunity to really chat with them and you want to take more than just the basic information you see on this screen, you can hit more and take a lot more information. Their address, their occupation, how they heard about you, who they prefer to see when they're there, if they're a minor, their parents' name, their birthday and anniversary, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We'll go ahead and save that. So she now exists in the system. That's one place to do it. If I was in the appointment book, I can left-click on this button to pull up a customer that's in my database. Or I can right-click on this button to add somebody brand new to my database. So I don't have to leave the appointment book to add somebody new. And if I add somebody from the appointment book, their name will automatically be here, just like Aaron Andre's is. Also, if I was in the point of sale, I can click on clients to pull up somebody from my database, or I can click new to add somebody brand new to sell them something. Or I can use my one-time button, which allows me to make a sale without assigning it to a particular client. That might be if like a minor came in. So you've got a 14-year-old who wants to buy some nail polish. You sell them the nail polish, but you're not going to market to them, so that's a one-time, and then whatever the product may be. Okay? That's adding a client, and you can do it, as I said, from the point of sale, you can do it from the appointment book, or you can do it from the main menu. Any questions on anything that we've covered today?
No.
No.
You guys are too easy. All right, well, I tell you what, if you want to give me one email address, I will send the video of this class to that email address, and then you can distribute it as you like. I would say that to convert what we've just done, should probably take about 40 minutes to get it into a YouTube video, to convert it and then upload it into YouTube and then email it out to you. So within the hour, I would say that you'll probably have that video. What email address would you like me to send it to?
Matt, if you want to use my email, which is, this is Jeff, J. Engelberg at IQRinc.com.
Yeah, I've got you in my system. No problem at all. So I'll send it to you.
I appreciate it.
My pleasure, guys. We've got another class scheduled, I believe, the day after tomorrow, and then another one the following day after that.
Correct.
Okay. Well, then I'm looking forward to it. I hope you found this informative.
Yes.
Excellent. My pleasure. And if there's no other questions, I'll end the class and I'll start converting that video for you.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Matt.
All right, guys. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.